Hello, good morning. I am Benjamin Edu. I'm a PhD candidate at the School of Education, University of Iceland. My research is about teachers' experience in transition to online teaching. We all know somewhere around March 2020, the outbreak of coronavirus spread across the world. And during that time, classroom learning was interrupted, and it was found that 191 countries closed down their schools around March, April, and it was estimated that 9 out of 10 children were affected worldwide, resulted in loss of learning. And mostly those that were affected were girls. So actions were needed to bring back teaching and learning to normalcy. So the affected countries mapped and changed their way of teaching and learning, specifically transitioning to online environment according to UNESCO. Now, teachers and policymakers made diverse strategies so as to do a rapid redevelopment of curriculum to online teaching and learning. Now, was there a challenge for this learning strategy that has been changed? Now, research have shown that computers are very important or beneficial in classroom teaching. However, computers can never replace a teacher, although it is an amazing tool that helps in teaching, but technology alone cannot facilitate learning. So to meet such a challenge, teachers and the society need to develop multiple forms of computer and information literacy to help them improve on their education. So when this online teaching idea was introduced, was it the way forward? Research done by Russell found out that parents and children were finding it difficult in navigating through the online learning environment. 53% of them were finding it very, very difficult for using the virtual learning environment, though 47% of them had it very easy. And also 32% of them said they were comfortable using the virtual learning. So the purpose of my research was to see whether teachers were prepared for this transition to online classroom environment and see what factors could enhance their smooth transition, and if they have faced any challenges or they foresee any challenge while they are transitioning this learning environment. So I sent out a questionnaire to 40 teachers in Iceland, mainly university teachers and secondary school teachers, to explore their views about how to transform their teaching into online environment. So I looked at their mode of education, whether the education that they had, whether they did it by online or by distance learning or regular classroom learning. And I found out that 57% of them had their regular classroom type of education. Those that have experience in online and the distance were 19% and 24% respectively. Then I also looked at their teaching level, and out of the 34, 17 of them were teaching in secondary schools, representing 47%, and 19 of them were teaching in the universities, representing 53%. Then I also look at their teaching experience, how long they have been in the teaching service. And I found out that 0 to 10 years of teaching experience was the highest, as 12 of them had 0 to 10 years of teaching experience, representing 33%. And those that have between 21 to 40 years were the least, with 7 representing 19%. Now, I focus mainly on the teacher's technological, pedagogical knowledge perspective as to whether they have the knowledge and skill to create a virtual classroom. And I found out that 80% of them said they have the knowledge and skills to create virtual classrooms for their teaching. And I also asked whether they use website to teach or they have created website to teach. And it was found out that 33% of them ascribe positively to creating website for their teaching. However, 10 of them said they do not agree to that. Then 36% also said they never used it. Then I also asked whether they use Google Docs for their classroom discussions with their students. And I found out that 73% agreed to that statement, that they were using Google Docs for their classroom interactions. And 18% said they disagree, meaning that they were not using it. And I also asked whether they were using e-labs or computer simulations for their classroom work or exercises. Then it was found that 60% ascribed positively that they were using it, and 28% said they were not using the e-labs or simulations. Then I also wanted to find out whether they were using video that has been created by other people or they were creating the videos themselves. And it was found out that 61% of the teachers responded positively that they created their own videos for their teaching. And even if the videos are not created by themselves, they look for videos that are similar to the content that they were teaching. Then 27% said they were not using the videos. The videos that we're using were just those that were already uploaded on YouTube or any search engines that they could find. Then I also wanted to find out whether they have the knowledge or skill to search for information on the internet. And it was not surprisingly to see that 100% of them said they have the skill in searching for information on the internet. Then I also looked at whether there were some resources perspective that helped them in the smooth implementation of their online teaching. So I wanted to find out whether they had access to computers and they often use them, or they sometimes use them, or they do not use them at all. I found out that 83% of the teachers said they have access to computers and they use it mostly or even sometimes. Then 92% of them said they have access to internet. That makes transmission of their learning and communicating with the students very easily. Then I also wanted to find out if they have access to projector, so that if they cannot use the classroom, they can have a giant screen so that the student can see exactly what is being explained by the teacher. And 89% of them said they have access to projector in their classroom and they often use it, or sometimes they use it. Then I also wanted to find out specifically whether the teachers received training or they received support from colleague teachers or even the school in general during this transition period. And I found out that 89% of them said yes, they received the support or the training, and they mostly used it. Then I also asked the teachers what were some of the benefits that they had when they were transitioning to online teaching or during that session. And they said they were happy with this because they were using different strategies to teach, and so many ways of communicating were available. As a result of that, it made the students always very active in class, and they took responsibility for their learning, since most of the videos and the learning materials were uploaded online. So it was the duty of the students to do the learning themselves. As a result of that, most of the students became more independent. One teacher said that it was very easy using the technological tools, since it reduced the amount of time for explaining concepts. Since the videos were self-explanatory, the processes were very easy for the students to get the understanding of the concept that the teacher is trying to convey across. And it also helped them to explain experimental concepts that hitherto would have been difficult to explain without the use of technology. Then I also find out from them whether they were facing some challenges during the online teaching environment. Most of them were talking about lack of face-to-face interaction with their students, because most of their lessons were more of engaging. So once the students were at home, most of them were finding it difficult to focus, and as a result of that, it distracted their lessons. And it was also difficult to create the videos and then finding the materials. Then, since more time and extra work was used in searching for these materials for the specific topics that was there. And it also came out that it was difficult to assess the students, since different forms of assessment were available, but which type suits what type. So it was very difficult to assess the students. And one teacher that was teaching science, and it was very, very difficult to do experiment with the students, since the e-labs can explain the concept, but it was not as vivid as he was expecting. So he find it very difficult using the e-labs for the experimental work. And there was also lack of skill in using the different apps that were suggested. Now, we all know that technology and resources play a significant role in successfully implementing online teaching, since most of the communication gadgets were more of using web conferencing and new applications such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and then Google Classrooms were there. But the issue was how to use them. So the teachers need more training on how to use these tools. Then making the videos were more of time consuming, and it requires more time for that. So teachers recommended that it is always advisable that they try to get the information as early as possible, so that it will prepare them. And even if they get the training, the knowledge, the skill, and support needed for using these technological tools, it was going to help them, since it was very challenging for them, since it was very new and it took them some time before they could go through. I remember, for instance, at the beginning, they were using, secondary school teachers were using INA, and the first day there was a charm, which was a problem for most of the teachers who had not have experience with this. And it also came out that students gain an opportunity to learn independently outside of the classroom, since they were using the accessible technological tools and communication gadgets that was there. So it improved their learning, their experience, and also they achieved higher in their learning. Thank you.